G'day, Fred. It's great to be with you again. And look, this is something that I hope Australians will really tune into and wake up to the complete load of nonsense they've been sold in the last few years. And I'd really like to get into this today because they've been sold this rubbish that renewables are cheaper, that their power bills will come down, that somehow we can make this great commitment to the planet by going net zero, and it won't hurt people in their hip pockets. And that is completely, utterly untrue. And I can explain in more detail about the elements to why that's untrue. But the most dishonest thing that's been said in the last 24 hours is the way they're then trying to peddle a number of people on the left, commentators who should know better. Oh, it's to do with the Ukraine and the price of energy. Well, that is like about that much of it. There's a whole lot more that's coming home to roost.
Well, let's just go into that detail, because people are comparing what Australia should expect to what is happening right now in Europe. And as you alluded to, Chris Bowen himself blamed right-wing commentators for getting this wrong. He says that the energy crisis facing Europe right now in this coming winter is caused by the invasion of Ukraine, not by Europe's he called it a rush to renewables. It's not a rush. It's been going on for over a decade and it's been heavily subsidised. What's your opinion, Campbell?
Well, let's just deal with Europe firstly, Fred. They have made a very big commitment to renewables over the last 15 years or so. In Germany, for example, they've shut down coal-fired power plants. They've actually turned their back on nuclear. They've gone heavily into wind and solar. And the thing that backed up the system was gas. So Mr. Putin's making it hard to get the gas. And of course, there's been this issue about sabotage in the North Sea on the pipeline. Suddenly they don't have the gas, so they don't have a reliable power system. And that's where the rubber hits the road. You know, they had a system that worked. They've turned their back on it to go somewhere else. And when you pull out the gas, it falls apart. So let's just turn to Australia. We're being told that we can shut down all these coal-fired power plants, or we must do that because they're bad. Okay, so what we're seeing now is the coal plants not being, refurbished, not being sort of having their lives extended, or new ones being built. So progressively, we're seeing them shut down. And the projections that the energy bosses were factoring into what they said was that these plants are going. So what's going to happen? Well, they're going to build renewables. They're going to have solar. They're going to have wind. But then they've got to have some way of actually storing energy generated by those renewables. Plus, they have to build these big extension cords all over the country. They've got to build the grid so that, you can have, wind farms in the right places and solar farms where the sun shines, etc. So we had I guess the most important point to make here is we had an electricity supply system that was created from when they really got going post-World War II, with coal-fired power, transmission lines, economically where they needed to be, and the switchyards and the like, to people's communities and to industry. Now we're changing that completely with a new grid being created, plus the need for storage. And these are all extra new costs. And so it's not just the cost of energy. Yes, the cost of energy has gone up, but like here in Queensland, the coal-fired power stations, and still Queensland's got a very high level of coal generated energy. I think it's around about 70%. It could be wrong, but pretty close to that. Now, guess who owns those coal-fired power plants?
It's the state.
It's the state. And in some cases, the coal mines supply under sort of, commercial agreements. So I acknowledge the price of coal has gone up. In some cases, it's essentially tied. It's a coal mine, attached to a power plant, and it's all owned by the state. So the point I'm making is, anyway,